and welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast with me, Tim McGarry, and my comedy colleagues,
Megan McDowell and Damon Quinn.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, a word from our superb sponsor. We have a very good sponsor, Phoenix Energy, who've been backing this podcast for quite a while now, and thank you very much to Phoenix Energy. Most people know Phoenix Energy for one simple reason. They deliver gas to over 250,000 homes right across Northern Ireland, reliably and safely every single day. But there's more going on behind the scenes. Alongside keeping homes warm and showers hot, they've got a dedicated team focused on energy transition, working on things like renewable gases such as biomethane. You know what biomethane is? You know what biomethane is?
Is it the stuff that comes out of cows?
It is the stuff that comes out of cows.
And sometimes people, depending on how many flights you've had that day.
Well, the clever part is that this can be delivered through Phoenix Energy existing alternative fuel-ready network, which means they're adapting the system so their customers don't have to. It's about doing what they do well today while getting ready for the future. To find out more about Phoenix Energy's energy transition work and check out the latest connection offers, visit phoenixenergyni.com. Phoenixenergyni.com. They're very good at switching as well. If you want to switch to Phoenix Energy, you have gas.
I have gas, yeah.
You have gas, don't you?
I do have no idea who it's from, but does Phoenix not supply everybody?
I think they do. No, I think there are other firms, but Phoenix are no doubt the best because they're very
Phoenix.
wise, intelligent people who've sponsored this podcast. So thank you very much. If you like cooking with gas,
Cooking's gas is great.
No, we're cooking
with gas.
You're cooking with gas. If you're cooking with gas, cook with Phoenix. And if you want to transition, they are very, very helpful and they're very efficient and they're cheaper than oil. I think they're cheaper than oil. Once you convert,
This is a queer change, Tim.
Well.
I remember 30-odd years ago we argued over whether we could accept some tins of Coca-Cola because it was corporate sponsorship by imperialist
the Third World
masters.
Society. That was when we were young.
When we were young and we
Young
could
and
afford to have
idealistic.
ideals because we all lived in dumps.
Maybe you should introduce our guest.
Have I started already?
You've started already. Ladies and gentlemen, the Give My Head podcast. We started originally, we were in episode 90-something, Nuala, and we initially started interviewing people who wanted to chat about Give My Head peace and stuff like that. For some reason, why were you not invited on early on these days? You probably were. I have invited you a couple of times to come on.
Well, you invited me earlier in the year, but my little mother, Patsy, passed away.
Yes.
99 she was.
We remember Patsy. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
she was great. She was great.
Patsy, yeah.
As I said, if Disney did deaths and funerals, that they would have done hers or Carlsberg or whoever else were sponsored.
Give her a good
If
send-off.
Phoenix had done the funerals. Yeah, no, she was great. But yeah, I don't know why you never had me on.
Because you're normally very busy.
Well, I have been busy. And you did say when you invited me, some of our listeners would love to, I'm sure some of our listeners would love to hear from you or something like that. So to some of our listeners, hello. To the others, bye.
Some of our listeners will remember Emer from Give My Head Peace and the very two ceasefires and the wedding and the first two series of Give My Head Peace. But I
think all of our listeners would know who Nuala McKeever is.
All of our listeners.
Well, you say that. Are they all over 50?
Well, that's what I wanted to start. I wanted to start at the end, which was I met you a couple of weeks ago when we were on The Ticket with the wonderful Kathy Clugston.
Really awesome.
I was plugging my solo show, which I forgot to plug, by the way. Yeah,
Go for it. Go for it. Get on with it.
It's been plugged more than some. Well,
Tim McGarry's Height of Knowledge.
dark.
Still some tickets available for. I'm in the Playhouse in Portrush on the 7th of August, and I'm in the Lyric Theatre on the 29th of August. Still a few tickets left. But I was on with you, and you were plugging your own brand new solo show. Everybody knows.
Yes, a play, yeah.
Yes,
not a stand-up,
it was a solo play.
Yes, a one-woman play.
And you were quite nervous because you hadn't done it before, and you were.
No,
did
I
you
just
come
written
across? Now, were you pretending to be nervous, or were you crapping yourself, or were you?
Did I seem nervous at the interview?
Well, you kind of.
Am I seeming nervous
Well, no,
now?
it was a brand new show, and you hadn't done it before.
I don't know about nervous, but yes, I mean, you're sort of curious. I wrote a play in 2012 called In the Window, which was great. It's come back and come back and come back. In fact, I'm taking it to Dublin for 3 weeks to Bewley's Lunchtime Cafe. Did you know Bewley's had a cafe?
No, I didn't know.
Theatre?
Happy to do it.
A theatre. You didn't? I know. It's been running for, well, it was, I was there 2 years ago and they said, I met the woman who started it. I didn't know who she was. I thought she was an elderly member of the audience and I spoke to her thus. And then I was told she was the founder. So I did a little curtsy and she said, oh, yes, we started whatever the date was. And I said, oh, it's 25 years ago. And they all went, yes, so it is. And one of them went, we really should do something about that. So that's kind of where they're at. But it's this beautiful little space up, 3 stories up, and they have 6 days a week.
Right.
And one evening, they put on plays. Now it's limited. It's about, well, the stage is tiny, so they do 1 and 2, maybe 3-handers. So anyway, I did that there. But I did a different one there. So I'm bringing In the Window there. And I did that, then I did Truth Lover Promise. I wrote that a few years ago, and then I wrote this one.
Is that the one that won the award? Truth Lover
Yes,
Promise
yes.
won the big award, the radio award?
I should have brought my award.
What do you call that
massive.
award?
It's called the IMRO.
IMRO,
It's the
yes.
Irish Music Rights Organisation,
Yes.
IMRO. So they do, it's basically the awards for radio. They do live music, but it's their radio. So it's all radio awards.
Yeah.
And you might think how many radio dramas are there, but apparently there are more than just RTE. So it was done on RTE, Truth Lover Promise. I recorded it, did all the voices. And it was put in, and I didn't go to the awards because the producer said, we're not going to win it. There's this young person's thing. It's sort of tipped to win. And I was busy the next morning, and it was away down the country, so I didn't go. And I actually was making chamomile tea, getting into bed that night, you know, how exciting. And I got a text from somebody in the BBC, a producer in the BBC, saying, Gold Award at the Emeralds, get you.
Wow.
I know. And it was about 1:45, and there was nobody to ring. And I phoned the producer in Dublin, and he answered me, and I said, we won. He went, and then he said, I'm in bed with the flu. So that was really not very celebratory.
I won an emerald for Long and the Short of It.
Oh,
radio
right,
show,
yes.
Which again didn't bloody get down to see because it was during fucking COVID.
It's kind of cool not being there though when you win the awards. It looks like you're busy doing other
Oh, well, and I was busy making that tea in my kitchen. But no, it was cool. And the other thing, the producer Kevin said he'd been at them. They're in this very fancy hotel.
In
I was
Kilkenny.
told, you know, I looked it up, but yeah, it was like 200 and odd pounds to stay, 200 and odd pounds a ticket. And obviously RT would have covered that in the end, but I didn't know that. So I was like, that's a lot of money. And he said he was there and he was put at a table and it was near the toilets and he spent the whole night with guys coming up going, do you want to do a bump? Do you want to bump? And I thought, you know, and that play...
Oh, well, it's nice to be offered at our age, I think.
Oh, I know. I don't know whether a bump meant the same thing. But that play was actually commissioned by a college down south called Dunboyne College Further Education. And a couple of others chipped in to pay me to write something for International Women's Day. Wow. So they were all dead keen to go and get, you know, people, I'm sure people say this to you as well, it'll be a night out, you can get dressed up, they give you your dinner. And I think, I've done 25 years of getting dressed up and doing other people's dinners. Going out like that's not like a big night out, big glam night out for me. So they were raging that we didn't actually go. But he had said there's 5 entrants, there's gold, silver and bronze. And I thought, oh, imagine going all that way and not even getting one, being the 2 that didn't get it. So all in all, that was pleasant. But I had a gut feeling. It was then entered for this Europe-wide, the Prix Italia, which is apparently very prestigious. And it went down from 100 and something and then down. I was shortlisted down to the last 7, I think. And that's very, very good, apparently. And then I was in London visiting my cousin at a cafe outside and I got the call and he said, are you sitting down? I said, I am. And he said, you're in the final 3. And I went, I'm in the final 3. And then he said, don't tell anyone. I said, don't tell anyone. So I was flown to Naples and and he told me on the QT that ours came second. So I say I was wrong. We beat the BBC. That's all we need to know. And the one that won, he kept going, you were robbed, because the one that won was a French thing and it was 22 minutes long. It wasn't really a play, so make of that what you will. But no, and I thought, well, here we go. Doors opening. Doors opening everywhere. People knocking my door. Come to speak to us, award winner. Well, it's nice to be able to say it in emails when you're saying to people, you know,
award winning.
this. Well, you know, I won this and blah. People say, there's always that. You know that.
It's
you
quite
know.
a nice award in your mantelpiece too. It's like a microphone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive and it's
massive.
heavy. It
Yeah,
looks like it's
cool.
made out of wood, but it's actually it's a bit gaudy. But there you go.
I was at a Cliftonville because it was during COVID.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was at
yeah.
a Cliftonville match. Couldn't get down to the bloody awards, but thankfully I got out of
How did you
phone
get
call
the
from-
match during COVID? How'd you do that?
They didn't have the awards proper down there for some reason, but I was at a anyway. The thing is, I got the award.
Cliftonville were ignoring
We're
a lot.
we're losing 1-0, and within 5 minutes, I won a prestigious award, and then Joe Gormley equalised. You couldn't get a better night.
No,
Well,
there you
that
go.
was
Joe
Bilko's
Gormley.
lucky day. And
He won an Oscar.
I was going to say, so guys, let's turn to you for your awards experiences.
Yes, you were at the Oscars. Yeah, of course.
Did I? Yeah.
What was yours?
I produced a short film
Oh.
that Jim Cray's brother wrote called The Crush. Jim Cray's brother is, Jim Cray,
Which brother?
our
There's
leading.
a couple of
Yeah,
them.
he's got a few of them. Yeah,
Not the priest.
no, not the priest, not the one with the hair.
The one who does TV and
Not Liam.
no,
who does
not
it.
Liam.
Not Liam,
Oh,
but
another
Michael.
one.
Michael's the
Oh, I didn't
youngest.
know there was another one.
Yes, a very talented writer.
And did you get Oscar nominated?
Well, he effectively, I was the producer just, so
But the film got Oscar nominated.
The film got Oscar nominated, 2010.
Wow.
Got
Does
to
that
the
mean you
Oscars.
get to the
Oh, we got to the Oscars, yeah.
I didn't know
We
that. In
got the food.
2010?
2011 was the year.
And what was that film about? What was it about?
It was called The Crush. It was about a kid who had a crush on his teacher.
Oh, but I'm sure it was all over the news here, was it?
It was, yeah.
Where was I in I have to think back. What was I doing in 2010? I was away.
I don't know if it's available
Well done.
online, but if it was, it would be superb because he was interviewed by Stephen Nolan, well pissed, and
Oh, yeah.
completely fucking hammered. And I
It wasn't
listened to
Stephen
it.
Nolan, I don't
He
think.
is. Was it not Nolan?
No.
What was that
I
like?
think
Have you talked about all that before? Was it good?
That was great, yeah. Yeah, it was really great.
Were you
yeah.
winding down? That's the only way to travel, isn't it? Being flown somewhere,
all
put
very-
up, lifted and laid,
It
figuratively.
was all very democratic. I couldn't believe how democratic it was because I thought
What do you mean
we'd be told.
democratic?
Well, I thought we'd be told, well, you're up for a short, stand you over there.
Oh,
you
I
know.
see what you mean.
Everyone got the full
Really?
red carpet.
Did you get the goodie
Everyone got the
bags?
full. Well, if you won, you see, we didn't really. Well, we got to the other party where you got like a goodie bag, but not a goodie.
Was it a shit goodie
like-
bag?
I mean, the goodie
Yeah.
bags at the
Yeah.
Oscars are apparently
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
like,
Oh yeah, it's the full heap. Yeah.
like a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah,
would get
rolling.
these things with thousands of
20
pounds.
pence in the hedges.
Well, they'll probably get the factory, you know.
But there was lots of. We were told that the Oscars were dry. This rumor went around that they were dry. That they were. You know. So we had like.
Don't tell me you
We-
got
we
tanked
filled
up
up.
before you went to the Oscars.
Yeah. You see,
Oh, letting the
come
side.
Oh, you wouldn't do that.
Did you have a straw coming up through your jacket where you go?
So with a party in the hotel room, and the UTV crew were over, and they all came. They all came to the party.
But it's
as
like
well.
5 o'clock in the afternoon. It
and
starts,
then
doesn't
the
it?
limo arrives, and you get into the limo, and there was 2 decanters in the
It would
limo.
it'd be rude not to.
There's a decanter of brandy and a decanter of whiskey.
Jesus.
So we fired that into this, thinking, right, now we go in here, it's dry, but not only was it not dry, I mean, it was swimming with champagne. Like,
Who talked
but yeah, but of course, these things happen. It happens all the time. You know, next thing we know, there's a guy starting, and he has a golden glass, and everyone else doesn't. They're filling you with champagne, and he keeps calling us over. And we go over, he's the head of Moe in Southern California, and he's a guy from Ross Trevor. And he goes, hey, hold the wall, guy, come on, here, get that in there, away you go, you know. So,
Times like that, you wish you had 5 livers.
yeah.
and stuff.
All right.
Like, you just
So,
can't
like,
do it
just
justice.
thank God we didn't win, you know, because I'd have been grown.
I just like to say anything, but I can't.
Yeah, I did go out. You go to the toilet and you have what they're called seat takers.
Yeah.
So you go to the toilet, somebody sits in your seat. So when they're doing the TV,
think there's any empty.
right.
All right.
Yeah,
So I went out there, out to the toilet, and you know, I come in looking for my seat.
Oh, yeah, of course you can.
Oh, I could stand there, and there was somebody standing there, and I said, "This old fella was standing on the stage talking." I said, "Who's that old fella there talking?" He goes, "It's Kirk Douglas." And I go, "Of course, so it is." Right.
They didn't get any of that on camera, did they?
Tell us a joke, Kurt.
But does it go on and on and
I'm
on?
Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Does it go on for 10 hours?
It goes on, yeah, it goes on forever, and then there's like you
So
go.
do you have to sit through all of it?
You-
You don't
yeah,
just
you
get the
pretty much
big,
do, yeah.
prestigious ones and then everybody
You sit
clears
through
out?
all of it, but then there's a governor's ball.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I mean, the winners go to the Vanity Fair party, and that's where all the big goodie bags are, right? And the losers go to the governor's ball, and that's a big sit-down dinner, right?
Oh,
And and you're in there, but you don't really feel like a loser because, like, you're in there, like, with
still
Jeff
being
Bridges
fed
and
out.
Nicole Kidman and all these other losers, right? So, these like
But
rich
you're blocked by this.
these rich Californians have paid a fortune. They paid thousands of dollars for a table to get at the table
To be
because
there.
the
Oscar
night
nominee.
because it's like a wedding, you know.
Yeah.
So they're hoping they're going to sit beside,
Somebody
as say,
famous.
you know, somebody famous, Clint Eastwood or something.
each table
These
gets
poor
a
bastards got
celebrity.
us. They got us. We can't even sit in the table. I'm like, where are you from?
It's not like years ago when they come round and they say, who ordered this? And he's half gone. Everybody's going, Lambuna, who's for the lamb? Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
And did you meet anybody famous that you can remember?
Jeff Bridges, didn't meet Jeff Bridges, but I was sober when I met him. I met him
He's
at the Oscars
cool.
lunch.
Was
you
he
know.
cool?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was dead on. Yeah,
I mean, he's
the dude,
kinda salt of the
he was,
earth.
he was a good guy. Yeah.
The dude abides.
Yeah.
The dude abided.
Well, see, this is showbiz. You see, you can go from Oscar-nominated and meeting Jeff Bridges, and then end up doing a wee show in the Lyric Studio.
Well, that's
and
it.
your show that you did in the
implying
Lyric
that
Studio.
mine's lesser
No.
than-
No. And what I'm implying
Sure,
is
we would
you
have
can
had a
go to
glass of-
awards and all of that, but I remember you were doing that interview with
Yes.
Kathy, and the next thing I saw online, loads of people coming out going, "It's amazing! It's the best thing ever."
I was blown away. Still a bit blown away. Well, that's the point. Especially when you write comedy and you don't know if people are going to laugh. You don't know where they're going to laugh. You're a bit surprised sometimes at the things they do laugh at that you didn't think were very funny, or it could be just the way you do it. But so the first night it was pretty quiet, and of course I don't know what you're like, but that's why I'm doing all the parts. It's extremely active. There's 8 characters, 4 main characters, and it's very. I realise that it's all a bit bang bang. It would need to. I don't know. I might look at it again, but there's a couple of little quieter bits. But it is. People are saying, it doesn't give people time to breathe really. So. In the middle of it, but then I'm going into my head thinking they're not laughing. I thought that would be funny. Oh, they're feeling a wee bit preached, because that was my concern. Is it a bit preachy? Is it a bit serious? But then, I mean, you know the difference between people going, that was really good, and people going, that was brilliant, and they leapt to their feet
you
the
know the
first night.
difference. You know the
Yeah.
difference.
When people say it's very good, that means it was absolutely shit.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to get out. Somebody said afterwards, sent me a message saying something about a grueling 75 minutes. And I said, oh, well, I hope it wasn't grueling for you, but, I think she was probably...
I can remember, over 30 years ago, we did our first show, the Almost International show,
Oh, right.
and in the group theatre.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming backstage the second night and going, "What's wrong with them? They're not laughing like they did last night."
Well, and so it
What's wrong with them?
and so it happened the second night of this play when all my family was in the audience, sat like this. There's different
Right.
qualities of silence. as
Isn't it
well.
weird? Isn't it weird how an audience at different
I
days
say
can
this
be
all
like,
the time.
"What?"
It's like they get together and say, let's all be like this tonight. But there was one night like that was quiet. I mean, they all got to their feet and they all said it was good as well.
Right.
But I was really shocked. There's a lot to think about in it. So it's kind of holding up a mirror. But if I say so myself, one thing I do quite well is I can do it, be quite serious, and then put something funny in that gives everybody a chance to
all
laugh.
the reviews said that. Said it was very
Yeah, you
serious,
kinda-
that you were laughing and crying and one.
Well, my best review was from Kevin McAleer, he and his wife.
Kevin, go.
Yeah, they'd seen the last thing I'd done in Derry, and I was chatting with him afterwards in the bar, and he sent me this. Honest to God, I haven't put it up on
Oh
Facebook.
God, well, Kevin's a genius. We love Kevin. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what he
What did
said.
he say? What did he say? Oh, go on.
No, do you want me? Well, I just
I'll go on.
I just happened to have it here. No, he was fulsome and verbose in his praise, and there's a line in the play where one of the sisters says to the other, it's that classic thing where, you've been telling me stuff for years about, what you need to do is this and what you need, and I'm all la-di-da-di-da, and then someone else says the same thing to me, and I turn to you and go, Damon, do you know what you need to do? You need to take a leaf out of my book, and you're going, I've been saying that to you for you. So there's a bit like that in it, and this one, the second sister, she says, have you any idea what it's like when someone sees you and hears you and listens to you? It's life-changing. So he basically saw and got every single thing that I wanted in the play. I mean, other people don't go into it in detail, but as a writer, he got all the stuff, and at the end he said, my if there's tears, and he said, I don't know whether I need a plumber or a therapist. So that was pretty good.
Well, one of the best compliments I've ever got, I did a wee gig in Daly's for his last ever stand-up show.
Oh,
in
yes, I
Daly's,
know, I
because
couldn't get it.
He's retired completely. We tried to get him on it. He won't come out. He's retired. But the best compliment I ever got, he said to me, it was a certain joke. He said, I wish I'd written that.
So we'll big him up. So what have you got? What have you got?
Absolutely nothing.
It's like the Tim and Nuala
Is it coming?
competition.
Is it coming back, or what are you going places, or what are you doing with it, or what's happening?
I
with
was
it?
going to do a little tour, but the way dates worked, I could only get 2 venues. So I thought, you know what, I'll wait. So I'm going to bring it back to the Lyric. I've booked for 2 weeks in June next year.
Brilliant.
And this is the way that things seem to work. Takes like in the window. I did it last year, and I wrote it first in 2012.
Right.
And last year it sold out like that. I probably could have done 3 weeks with it,
Yeah.
and actually earned some money on it, as opposed to this one where I got.
It's always nice.
Well, I tell you, make the stuff work. See, that's what I thought every year. I was churning out something new all the time. You need things. You need to let people hear about it,
Yeah.
and give people time. And it's not massively populist. I say to myself, why am I not selling like this? And you have to just make friends with the fact that you are what you are and you do what you do, and if people like, but people do like it.
Find your
So
niche,
I'm bringing it back, and I'll do a tour, and RTE are interested in doing this one as well. I seem to write things that work well on radio. I'm a bit like yourselves. I'm very wordy. Well, it's more about, it's more words, it's more language and that sort of humour than physicality, which works well for the radio.
Yeah. Well, we're don't take this the wrong way, but we're all of a certain age. We're more mature now. We're less.
We're all pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, your birthday is it's my.
Yours is today.
Yes, listeners, my birthday is actually today. I know this goes out in a couple of weeks' time, but my birthday is on the 23rd of
And at
June.
this point, the cake comes in.
And at this point, my friend
Tim
bought
asked me to come
absolutely
upstairs
nothing.
ahead of him. He said, I'll be up in a couple of minutes. I thought he was going to pop out of his own cake.
No,
You know,
I
you kinda have
thought I
to-
would give the boys time to give me
come
my
up with
cake,
something.
and nothing has arrived.
They haven't even wished him happy birthday.
Yes.
Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose.
Yes, it's the 23rd. Your birthday is the 14th of July. Yours
It
Bastille
is
Day.
Bastille Day, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
What is the phrase? Liberté,
Liberté,
égalité,
égalité,
nualité.
nualité.
Yes, no, I've never been in Paris. I'd love to be in Paris. And funny little aside to that, my sister, when their children were young, took them all to France on their holidays camping. And they were in the car back here, and they were driving through Belfast, and there was all the red, white, and blue stuff up. My wee niece in the back seat said, "Mummy, is this the French quarter of Belfast?" Had to take the child in the front parlour and teach her the words
You
of
know
the
nothing
song.
about Ulster.
So, yes,
but-
we're all the same age.
We're all the same age, and we go back a bit.
We
go
do.
back a bit.
We do.
To Queen's University. We had there was a do there for law graduates. We graduated 40 years ago,
I know,
1986.
it's scary, isn't it?
It's fucking scary.
I was in the union on
these
its 20,
figures.
20 years after we'd all left, and we all left in I left in 87. Did you leave in 86? Because I
86.
did a year away because I did Spanish.
Yeah.
But in 80, whatever it was, and saying to this girl, young woman, whatever, gosh, I can't believe I'm saying it was 20 years ago. I was a student.
Yeah.
And you just cannot believe, like 40 years.
Where did it
And
go?
but all those old people walking around in the street, they're all like us. They're all going, I don't feel like this age.
You know, that's it.
I don't feel like an old codger. You know, I was in the airport yesterday and I was squished between two women of a certain age. And I thought if anybody walked past, they'd just think there's three fat old women sitting there. I would go, but I'm not.
I
I'm
used to
going
be young.
thinner. So yes, it was a long time ago, but it seems fresh, doesn't it? I mean, certain bits. I mean, you forget a lot of stuff.
There's lots you forget, yeah.
But you sort of remember the it felt like, and I know we sound like old codgers, I don't know what young ones now will reminisce about. Do you remember years ago we used to say, when all that kind of music came out, will they all be sitting around the
In
old
nursing
people's home?
homes.
Well, apparently so, because I saw a video online of these parents in their late 40s, early 50s in a house party, and their sons and daughters are all sitting in the conservatory or whatever, and they're all on their phones, and then one of them looks right and the parents are all doing this, you know, to a real banger, and the kids are kind of going, oh, the old ones. And I thought, oh, so it is like that. But
Right,
yeah,
it's in my head. Tell the Ben Lid story.
Oh,
That's one of my favourite stories
that's
because
an
that's a
old
very period story. Because certain people, I mean,
Mine are all
these
very
guys over here
periods.
aren't going to get this at all. But,
well, they might have. They've watched enough, you know, ancient documentaries. No, just during the Troubles.
before wheelie bins were ever even thought about.
In the early, sometime in the 80s, things were pretty bad, and there was some anniversary in Belfast, and I remember you saying to me, Tim, when I did this in stand up, you said, don't be saying the real thing, make something up. So I think the anniversary was Jerry Adams got a new duffel coat or something like that, and the lads came running down our avenue because we were a bit posh even then. And they were shouting, snabs, get out your beds and rattle your bin lids. Get out of your beds and rattle your bin lids. Oh, the preface to this was, I wanted to be a hard woman, but it was very hard to be hard in our family. And this is the story I tell. And then my mother piped up very earnestly, but our bin lids are made of rubber. And all my street cred just went down the loo. So that was my... I've always felt a bit like that, you know. I'm neither... I don't know about you, but, you know, you see everything going on around you and you feel like an observer, you know. Like I used to, it's just language and the way people talk around you is very funny, you know. Like at that same stage, I wanted to be a hard woman because the girls up our way in the hard school, Crossing Passion, used to walk down after school, you know, and there'd be 13 abreast, and the one in the end would have her radio on her arm, and they'd walk in, they'd shuffle in the sweet shop, you know, sideways, and go up and go, 2 number 6 and a light. And I just thought that was so cool. Didn't even realise you have to explain what 2 number 6 is.
Cigarettes.
Two cigarettes.
Yeah.
Single cigarettes.
Two
and a
single
light.
cigarettes.
Yes, you can't even
Sold
buy a
to
packet of 10 now.
underage people.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Wee singles. You were St Dominic's school, weren't you?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I can't believe I bought this bag. I bought this in Naples. Look at the colour.
Oh,
that's our
you're
school
drawn to
uniform.
it, drawn to it.
I know, and it was only when I bought it, I thought that's our school uniform. I've never bought anything that colour in my life. But yes, I was so. And then I was sent to the School of Music for the first time when I was 10 or 11. First time I met Protestant. And I joke about the fact that, you know, when you're trying to work out your identity at that age, for a while it was so confused I even wanted to be a Protestant.
Right.
Not because of any theological reason. It's just when I was sent to the School of Music I met Protestants for the first time. Very sad indictment. But all the girls would come into class and would all be in our uniforms, and the Protestant girls all wore short skirts and had brown legs.
Right.
And I didn't realise these were girls who went to like Methody and Princess Garden and been on holiday in the continent and got a tan. I just thought all Protestant girls had brown legs. Like in our school, your skirt came down below your feet.
Yeah.
In case any boy should be tempted by the sight of a white hairy ankle. Never worked out what to be tempted to do. Maybe shave it and put fake tan on it.
You still
I
had
just
nuns
thought
in your day, did you?
yeah, we had nuns. So I sort of thought, you know, Protestant girls were born that way. I thought it was God's compensation scheme for putting their eyes so close together.
Yay.
Yay, Chucky. Yes. So what was the question?
I can't remember. There was a
the
question.
nuns. Yes. We did a puppet show years ago. My friend Andrea Montgomery wrote and directed, and I co-wrote a thing called the Ulster Kama Sutra, which was brilliant, and it should come back and back. I mean, it was so different. It was puppets, different types of puppets, and she was born in. She's lived all over the world. Her father was a diplomat. So it was using the Kama Sutra, which is not just a dirty book, as one of the puppets was saying, dirty postcards. So it's looking at mores and social values and all that. But so there were lots of things in it and sketches. And one of the most interesting bits was she put up the box of truth, I think it was called, or the something box, in real life, and people went in and they could speak about their sexual experiences, you know, things that were hidden. And this is probably going back 15, 16 years. It was even earlier than now. So, but the one thing was we couldn't use their real voices. We could use their words, but we couldn't identify the people, and we couldn't even use their voices. So we sort of took the stuff and verbatim did it with the puppets. And some of them I thought were really not funny. But what was weird, so we had crocheted vaginas and crocheted penises as characters. And I went out doing one of them. It was called The Country Penis. And I thought, this is about as funny as a poke in the eye, you know. But there was something about the juxtaposition. The wee character, he shuffles across the table and then he goes, I'll just get myself comfortable here. No, it's Scottish, Balmain. Get myself comfortable here. And he drops his big woolly gonads over the edge of the thing. And it's just so, it's kind of cute and hilariously awful, but cute. And then the speech he makes is really lonely. It's about loneliness and seeing the sheep can all get on together. And it would be nice if somebody, I can't even do it justice now, but it was just, people were killing themselves and then they were all, so that was quite.
The lonely penis.
The Country Penis, he was called. And another one about a young guy out on the pole, and you know he's meeting up, and then you only realise after he's meeting a guy, and because he can't be doing this, so he goes back with a guy, and then the guy sort of is very rough with him, and it was kind of hilarious, and some of it was just funny, but those wee bits were were quite heartbreaking. But I did a nun in that doing her sister psychotica. Doing her sex education class, which you couldn't actually use the proper words for anything, based very much on my own.
On your experience.
On my own experience,
Wow.
yes, which we'll not go into any further.
Can we claim part credit then for your success as a writer, based on the fact
If
that
that
you did start
involves
with
a
us?
share of my money,
No, well,
absolutely.
yes.
Here is you all get
5% of
100%. You all get 100% of everything.
Because you did start with us way back. The Hole in the Wall gang used to be the four of us and Marty Reid.
Yes.
There was a larger group before that
Yes,
when we
there
went
was.
to Edinburgh and we went on the piss and made idiots of ourselves. But we came back and decided to try it properly, and then we had modicum success in our own TV show and then Give Me a Piece and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then so you started writing during
Yes,
that
well, I
period.
got offered my own show.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I had written a stand-up-y stuff,
Yeah.
which we did in St Agnes's and the Shankill and stuff. So yeah, and I was married to Sean Carson, who had come over to work with us. nephew of Frank Carson. Excuse me.
We interviewed
Hey!
we interviewed his son last week, not for Sean's, but Tony.
Oh, did you? For
Yeah,
this?
Tony's on our podcast as we speak. Yeah, Tony, because it's 100 years since Frank was born. It's Frank's centenary. You know, it's interesting.
He wants a statue.
No, he doesn't want a statue.
He doesn't want a statue.
plaque.
He wants a plaque, or he wants a
plaque.
recognition.
A recognition.
Or
Physical
down
recognition.
in the Sealer Town or somewhere?
Yeah.
Was it I that me that wanted the statue?
You want
You
the
want a
statue.
statue.
That's
yeah.
right.
You wanted
Do you want a statue of you or of Frank
No,
Carson?
no, I
Well,
wanted
Frank.
to replace. You don't Carson up, but Storm.
Oh, that'll be
Get rid of
Replace him with Frank.
great.
And then put Frank up and say that
or
that'd be
put-
for everybody then.
Put him beside him. Put him beside him. Frank on. Carson's
That's a
this and
crack.
Frank that. It's like, that's the way
Look at
he told
Stormont,
him.
that's a cracker. Yeah.
Now, that would be hilarious.
So yeah, Sean was.
We have two of everything here. We might as well have that.
Exactly.
Sean was Frank's nephew.
Yes, so he was his
And
nephew.
he was a comedy writer.
Yes, he
in
was
his own right.
working and script editing and stuff, and he encouraged me to write. And I started doing stuff in Radio Ulster called The Wilsons with
Yes,
Olivia
with
now.
Olivia, yes.
Mummy, my mammy. And I know I remember getting that. I think the cheque was 40 quid I got for that, and I just split it with Olivia, 40 quid. Yeah, they were the days when we earned big.
I'm sure that when we did that Sony, the one that won the Sony, the sketch show. Do you remember what you paid for it?
500
500
500 quid.
For a whole series.
for
Oh, one-off special.
One-off.
And that was everything.
Wow.
And there's like
acting, writing, everything.
everything. And then it won the Sony Award.
Wow.
And that was like 500 quid.
So you did win an award, Michael.
We did
Tell
win
us
the
about.
Sony- we did win
Tell
the
us
Sony
about
Award.
what did you go to the
won
ceremony?
it as
No, we didn't even get
You
the go.
won it
You were
as
as
well.
well.
I know,
We
I
didn't even
don't
get the go. That was a thing.
Well, I remember the two C's version of Wedding.
Yeah.
Won the. What do you call
the
it?
Art
Royal
Awards,
Television
yes. Yeah.
Society, and the only ones who got to go to it were, well, the producer, but the exec producer who didn't really nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting there going, "Oh, right, there's your man and all the photographs." That's right. No, none of us got to go to that. But yes, so again, what was the question?
I
I
can't
do not know.
You damn youngsters.
Oh, I know.
All right, so are you showing a photograph of
That
us
famous-
in
that
the
famous-
1990s?
Yes, the famous photograph.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you
Could
see
it be
that?
we're all
The
so
award-winning
simple
perforated
then?
Ulster.
Yeah, well, that was 1991. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I look like a wee lad.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't look like a wee lad, but that was
I
that was
did.
what won the
Somebody,
Sony Award.
Jake O'Kane, said to me, "It's no wonder you couldn't get a man. You look like a lesbian." I have a touch of the Eamon Maguire's about me there with the round glasses and the shaggy hairdo.
Very sensitive, Jake.
Well, Michael definitely looks like a wee lad. I mean, look at that.
I know. Young Nigel
Look at
here.
Nigel Havers.
Yeah, it's a
I look
podcast,
around
Damon.
and
I
think-
think the producer's saying, "Yeah, we can't look at your phone, mate."
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, okay, so moving swiftly on.
We'll get the photo. We'll put it up. We'll put it up.
Yes, so I got offered to
you-
do my own show on UTV. You told me to Foxtrot Oscar, which I did.
No, we
And
did
then-
not. That's a lie. We wanted
well.
to try to accommodate you, but things did not work out.
Okay, we'll have words about that after. Whatever. So I did that for 3 years, and then they said they'd do a fourth series, and then they said, no, we're not going to do it this year, but they gave us a contract to do it the following year, and then they said, no, we're not going to do it, which was kind of cool because I got paid something like 90% of the
Right.
fee
Oh, right, even
for
though
not
they didn't do
actually
anything?
doing anything.
For not doing it. Yeah.
Which tided me
That's
over
kinda
for
good.
a year, but then I couldn't get arrested. I was here with not Jim Fitzpatrick, David Malone. Do you remember David Malone?
I do remember that. Yeah.
And Dara McIntyre and various ones. They had a
Because
production
you'd worked
company
as a
here.
researcher and stuff in the BBC, hadn't you?
Yes, I had worked in the BBC, but they took, well, they didn't formally take me on, but we pitched loads of ideas for about a year, and we made little video shorts, very basic, like trailers for things. This is sort of what it would look like. And every idea we pitched, I'm not joking, it was, oh, we're doing that with Jerry Anderson. I mean, you know what it's like. In the zeitgeist, there's a sort of an idea. One person gets an idea, let's do this. And the same sort of thing pops up. They get, there's a crop of things. So whatever it was all this thing. A lot of it's based around, oh, I used to hate this in the BBC. Go out and find characters, good characters. Northern Ireland's full of characters. You know those people? And you're going, yeah, but you can't go. Hello, are there any characters in here? So anyway, and because of that, my back was against the wall. I was getting, those sort of things through our agent David Hull. He would get you public personal appearances.
Stand-up and stuff.
Well, I wasn't
after
even-
dinners and
I was doing those sort of corporate things, and I was earning money to keep me going, but I wasn't really doing anything like that was going to be proper. And I said to the agent at the time, David Hull, could you get me into the Belfast Festival, which was the festival that was the only festival before festivals, before we had
Yep.
millions of festivals and billions of quarters. We just had one festival, no quarters. And but apparently quarter
There are
comes
20
from
quarters.
but it comes from quartier in France, which apparently doesn't mean I got hoisted on my own petard with that I was
doesn't mean
given.
a fourth.
Doesn't actually mean a quarter. Anyway, as you used to say, didn't we have a lovely time the day we read the broadsheets? even that joke sort of
Yeah, sort
did.
of did.
This is like a
Broadsheet.
saunter down memory lane. Didn't we have a lovely time the day we read our news online on an iPad? That would be the equivalent, for old people. So so I phoned David and said, could you get me into that? And he said, yeah, I'll ask them. And I remember clearly, I've told this story before, I was in Conn's Water Shopping Centre, God knows why. I think we'd filmed in it once, and there was some shop there that I had remembered, some wee cheap shop to get night dresses or something. So I was over there because it's not somewhere I would be. But I just remember, and I had a basket in my hand in the middle of this shopping mall, and I got a call from David Hull saying, the festival said yes. And I went, brilliant. And of course, my first reaction is actually, oh no,
Yeah.
going to have
Yeah,
to
what am I
do
gonna do?
something.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So he said, but they need the stuff for 5 o'clock. And I said, what? This was 3:30. Well, not just the, not you don't have to have it done, but,
The blurb.
I said,
What
I
is it?
haven't written it yet. And he said, well, what's it about? I said, I don't know. And he said, well, what's the title? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, you better find out between now and 5 o'clock. So I literally went home, and that was one of the biggest lessons I've ever had in my working life. I sat down and, the deadline superseded the critic in the head that's going, oh, that's not very good. And you just had to write. So I wrote something, and I learned a lot. Just do something. And I mean, that's what I do now. I come up with a title, I write the blurb, I send it to the theatre, book the theatre, write the title and the blurb,
And
get
then
the
go.
photograph done, and then sit
go
down
like
and
this.
decide,
Exactly.
right, I'll write this, and so far, touch wood, it's kind of worked. But and that's sold out. I mean, I was disappointed, if I'm honest, that after having a TV show that I didn't take it more on tour and do more with it.
Yeah.
And at the time had meetings with David, and my memory is he wasn't all that keen. And yet that sold out like that, because if you're on TV, I'm not. That's why I think.
Yeah.
I think if I was on TV every week,
Yeah.
you obviously are online doing stuff online. Obviously, people know you. They come because people come to stuff because they know somebody as well as anything.
Because
a certain amount of that.
TV show, you had lots of characters.
Yes, I
That
did
could
loads
have
of characters.
been,
And I wasn't sure how I would have done that live, but then those ones, Little Britain, they did a live show.
Yeah,
that's right.
And they had, in those days, you could have done video inserts or something. I just felt, I don't know, I kind of felt a bit overwhelmed by trying to do all that. But, you look back, Steve Jobs says you can only join the dots in your story when you look back.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the things that I didn't get were the best, and I've said this often, the thing that seems like the worst thing in the world is the springboard for something that then becomes the best thing in the world. And I probably wouldn't have written the stuff I've written if I sort of didn't have to. And then when that one went well, and then my partner Mike, who you didn't really know. Well, I don't know if any of you knew Mike Maloney.
I didn't know.
I know he'd sort of been around Belfast
I know,
the
but
whole time.
I know everybody goes. How did you not know
knew-
Mike?
I know
Yeah,
we would
Mike
go. We
Maloney,
would go
yes,
anywhere,
yeah.
and everybody would know both of us, but we didn't know each other. It was very bizarre. And then when he died, he died the year after I'd done the first play, and then some years later I wrote Truth, Love or Promise. It's not about him, but it's sort of around loss, and it's set in a creative writing class, which I did stuff with Crew's bereavement. And I offered, I ran creative writing classes and stuff like that. So that came out of that, and some very nice writing in that, if I say so myself. Where's this next one?
But did you get back to the characters? That's something you were very good at, I thought.
Yeah, well, that's-
you had,
thank
you had a good eye and a good ear for
Good ear.
for characters.
Yes, thank
know.
you. Well, it
I
always
mean-
started with voices. That's what I
Yeah.
always say to people. From at home, you would have known our Brenton and John, and
Yeah.
we were always. I'm not a mimic. Like, I don't think any of us is particularly great mimics.
Yes.
But we can, do people a wee bit or do types and so stuff
Well,
like
we all
that.
remember Mickey's ma, of course.
Mickey's ma.
The one I remember was the airline hostess.
The air hostess,
The one that used to talk like that.
I know. But I was on a flight yesterday, and if I was doing her now, in EasyJet, they must be given lots of the word do. Well, later on, if you do wish to purchase something, and do have a look at that, and we do. I can't even do it properly now, but they just throw this spurious word in all the time, and they hit all the wrong emphasis.
Yeah.
We will be coming through with a selection of
With the emphasis on
your
the-
thing. And worse, yesterday the woman doing it was Spanish, and I mean her English was good, but she was hitting all the wrong words and the wrong emphasis, and it was like gobbledygook, you know. If you do want to purchase anything, we do have a good range of snacks.
Lovely job. He was funny.
Lovely job, the builder. Well, that was based on Sean's father. His whole thing was, you know, if you say anything to anybody, a certain type of man, tell you better not. Tell you better not. Like if you said to him, did you hear, you know, Armstrong walking the moon? Tell you better not. I once walked a bird all the way home from Newton Arch one day, and I wasn't taking no small steps, know what I mean? The wife says she'd like to go to the moon. I says, so I'd love to send you, but they've already put a dog in space, know what I mean? So all that. And it was based on Sean's dad, and his mum and dad were over. His dad was Frank's Carson's brother, so he was brought up in Belfast, but met Anne, the wife, and lived in Scarborough. But Seamus, the father, was just like he'd never left Belfast, you know. And he came over, they were over staying with us, and they came to one of the recordings, and it was the builder, and I was thinking, oh no, because of the third series, or the second series, we actually did the studio stuff in character. Each one was the character hosting it. We moved it completely away from what the first series had been. And I thought, oh no, he's going to go through me for a shortcut. And he came down afterwards and he says, I was brilliant, Nuala, it was brilliant. No, I loved that, especially at the builder character you done. I says, oh, really? He says, I see, tell you better than that. He says, see, when I was growing up, I knew loads of fellas just like him. People never know themselves.
Don't see themselves.
At Swift, what did he say? Satire is a sort of glass wherein we do behold everyone's visage except our own.
But I always think of the John Cleese story about going to see his accountant the day after they put out the boring accountant sketch, and the accountant, he said, loved the show, especially the sketch about the accountant. John said, really? I thought you'd be offended. And he said, why? I said, well, we said accountants were very boring. And the guy said, oh yes, but I'm chartered. That's two jokes in one, you know, how dull are accountants? I tell that accountancy things and they're a bit kind of,
See, I'm quite lucky in that I've got these two boys to push. If we do a stage show, which we do every year, and every year I'm the same, I go, this is shite, this is no good. But they have two people. We have instant editing as well. So if I come up, because I do all the jokes obviously. If I come up with a great joke and two of them hate it, it doesn't go in. But if one person goes,
so it's the veto, is it? Like the Stormont veto?
But if you're on your own and you're writing on your own, do you self-edit? Do you go, this is genius, or do you go do it again and again, or do you just go?
Well, the last play had 24 edits. I rewrote one of the scenes after doing it for 2 nights because I thought this is good, but it's not getting it the way it should be. So that's the problem as well. I mean, that's why stand-ups go out now and they do try-out tours when they're doing their big stuff.
Whips, I think, is the technical term, works in progress.
Oh yeah, works in progress. I can see why, because I read back over notes for stand-up shows I'd done, and I thought, reading them, I thought, jeepers creepers, it's like 3 paragraphs to get to a joke here, you know. Whereas if you'd done that, you would have just, you know, Sean, maybe it was used to call your bankers, you know, the ones that you can, they're just good, and you get good at the timing with them. But I haven't done stand-up for a few years. But what I discovered as well was writing funny songs. I was quite good at that, but I can play. Weirdly, for some reason, I got a keyboard, I borrowed one off Anthony Toner, and I would sit at the old piano in our hall. It was my mother's old piano. But for some reason, I played it with the left hand only. So I'd do like the chords, so it'd be pretty simple. And performed them on stage, and nobody minded, you know. But they were brilliant. I did one about sort of menopause and getting older, and it was based on, you're not supposed to do this, but the last time ever I saw your face. It was like the idea when something happens for the last time, it's quite poignant. You don't realise usually that this is the last time. So it was like the last time ever I saw my feet, you know, and the last time I tried to climb a hill, and the last time I went to bed with a man. But that was absolutely brilliant, and I loved that. And it's a bit like like, I remember we always used to say, you know, nobody said to the Beatles when they went out and played the same songs, oh, we've heard that, we've heard that. But
Play
if
something
you do,
new, yeah.
well, I've been doing the same material for 20 odd years, so
You
that's
see,
quite
musical
true.
comedians are cheats. They can't get away with that.
What ones?
Musical
Yeah, they
comedians.
can, yeah.
But that's what's so
It's
brilliant.
not
But there's
fair.
something really, it's a bit like those two brothers who did a study, the doctors, and one of them ate loads of sugar and one ate loads of fat. And you just can't eat loads of sugar and you can't really eat loads of fat. But when you put the fat and the sugar together, boom,
Yeah.
you could just eat that till the cow. And music and comedy, it's people's love. I mean, I don't know what you're like online. I will watch wee clips of the Graham Norton show that come up that I've seen a million times because they're very funny. And I'll watch it and I'll know what's coming, but it's still, you know, it's like listening to sketches. Do you remember when we would
Yeah.
stand on the wing in the wings and you'd know what's coming? And there's
Yeah.
a certain enjoyment when you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
they're all going to love
They're
this
gonna
bit.
love it.
Yeah, I love that sort of thing when you're there and you know
If
there's
they
a
laugh
really
at this
good
bit
bit
when you hear
coming.
what's coming.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
bit
yeah, it's
towards
nothing
the
better.
end of this recent play. There's one funny bit towards the end, and everybody's going, that
you
looks
go.
lovely. And then the character just turns it on its head. So then they're killing themselves. And then there's another one. So when you finish with a laugh as well, it's great. But the songs were brilliant. And there was one I wrote, which is actually, the words are very good. I mean, and I thought at the time, I don't know what you're like, but so often I write something, I think, I couldn't do that. And that often turns out to be the best thing. Just not sure. So it was kind of like, we're not all either or. We weren't born to be either or. We
Yeah.
were born to be everything and, you know, and it's kind of, what do you want to be when you grow up? They say, do you plan to marry a boy and have kids someday? As if life could be mapped out like a story in a book, because that's not what we are. We're all a bundle of contradictions. And it's quite rousing. And this guy came up the end and said, would you come to one of those, you know, those conferences they were doing about picturing a new Ireland, or were they Shinner led, or were they slightly not Shinner?
Yeah.
They were quite Shinnery. I wasn't sure. I
A
thought,
bit shinnery.
were they Shinner? I wasn't sure
Shinnery.
because there's also sort of New Ireland stuff, which was
Yeah.
slightly different. Anyway, so I'm not sure which one, but he said, would you come and perform that? Now, I don't know, it never came to pass, but I kind of thought, yeah, I could see why that would appeal to people, because it really has that expression of, you know, we're all, and I read the words to my mother and she went, the repeated thing goes, our hearts know we weren't born to be either or, we were born to be everything and.
Right, okay.
Right, and my mother's comment was, everything and what? My mother was the worst. I killed myself.
Yeah.
I was with her every day and I'd be trying stuff out once or twice. Sometimes she'd be all, and then occasionally she would just go, is that it? Your family's not necessary. The as I say, if it was up to my family to have fostered my artistic endeavour, I'd probably be working on the tills in Tesco, the self-checkout ones. So
We get quite a lot of the younger comedians saying, "Oh, thanks to us, you know, they've been in the
Yes.
comedy." Do you get a bit of that, especially
Well,
being a female
yeah,
comedian,
a
because there's
few.
very few.
Teresa
female now, though,
Livingstone,
you know,
Teresa Livingstone sort of
Emer and
said
all
that.
sort of stuff,
Yeah,
you know.
Emer
You
McGuire
were
has
kind
it.
of
Depends on the age. And Caroline Curran, I remember when I met her, she told me afterwards she was really starstruck.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard to believe it when it's you, but then you think of, I met one of my heroes of writing was Sebastian Faulks. He wrote Birdsong, which I would say is a book that sort of changed my life when I read it.
It's a big book, yeah.
I went and bought a copy, now only once I have to say, but it moved me so much about the story of these First World War soldiers, and I just sort of bought one in their honour. But the point being, I met him then in a thing in Corfu, it's a long story, a literary festival. And I was just over there, a friend of mine had a thing on in it, and Stephen Fry and he were doing talks in this big fort in Corfu town. The sun was going down, it was absolutely stunning. And everybody flocked around Stephen Fry afterwards, and there was Sebastian Faulks and his wife over there. And I don't know what you're like, but I get a bit, why would I go up to anybody and say, oh yeah, I think you're great? Like when people come up to me, yeah, I mean, it's all right, but generally you're sort of, oh, thanks very much. But he kind of looked a wee bit like nobody was really going up to him, so I thought I was being
Do him a
nice.
favour.
And I went over and he was just giving me this. And when people do that to me, it's like, okay, let's try harder. I think you're great. Bring on the dancing girls. I think you're really great. And I said to him, your book, Birdsong, changed my life. Not one, he didn't. Oh, really?
Right.
nothing.
Right.
So I now think
Becca.
that's it. Sebastian Ford.
Sebastian.
Talk about never meet your heroes. That was just shocking to me. So, yeah.
We have done nearly an hour here already.
Haven't started.
I know we haven't even started.
Does anybody else want to say anything?
I just want to know one thing.
You used to never say much.
Did you
No.
mean to call Dominic Cummings a dickhead?
Well, it wasn't a dick. Oh, it was a dick. Oh, yeah, that was funny. Were you working that day? No, it wasn't you. No, of course it wasn't you. It was someone whose name will not be mentioned, who left my microphone open when I was doing a radio show on Radio Ulster.
Right.
And it was during COVID. I was sitting in for Lynette Faye for a maternity leave. Started as 6 weeks and it became 7 months. And it was brilliant because COVID hit in the middle of it. So loads of people were listening. Mary was working in the BBC. And it was a 2-hour bank holiday show. And I used to try and get little things in. But the main producer was very, very nervous about doing anything. So one of my favourites was I slipped in one day. I always remember... It was the guy, Philip, who produced, Philip Morrow produced the McKeever show. And he said, if you can explain it away, okay, double meaning. If you can explain it innocently, fair enough, you know. So one of the ones was when your woman, Carrie, whatever her name was, married to Johnson.
That's
I
right,
don't even think
Boris.
they were married.
Yeah.
They had a baby, so I opened the show with saying, congratulations. They just had a baby, so... Congratulations to Boris and his tiny Johnson.
Right.
Hit the music. Those who get it, get it. Those who don't, won't,
Yes.
won't be offended. So that sort of thing. And I was always trying to sneak something in that she wouldn't realise. Because most stuff I did got cut.
Yes.
That happens all the time. Your best stuff, they go, and they're
Can't say
so
that.
scared.
It's very
of
funny.
any-
You're not doing it. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
If it's funny, no, take it out,
Yeah.
So everything sounds a wee bit bland. But this one, I was going to start. It was the time that Dominic Cummings was the advisor to Boris Johnson, who was Prime Minister, and Cummings had been discovered to have driven his family.
That's
He'd
right.
gone to Barnard Castle, and he
Yes,
said it was to
yes.
test his eyesight. I mean, it was all a load of nonsense. So I was going to start the show with Hit the Road, Jack. Very mild, nothing, but just say, for Cummings. And I had typed up my wee bit of script at the top of the show, and I pushed the talk back button. The news was going out at 3. And I pushed my talk back button to say into the producer and the tech person, what's your man's name again? Because I suddenly thought I'd written, Richard Cummings. I said, it's not Richard, what's his name? And they said, whatever. What was it?
Dominic.
They said, I said, I've written Richard, Freudian slip or what? He's such a dick.
Yes.
And my mic had been left open, so that went out all over the 3 o'clock
Excellent.
news. Now, it was the same week Emily Maitlis said stuff about him. So, of course, the media loves, if it's one thing, it disappears. But when she did it, and then they discovered there was a second thing, and if there were 3, they'd all cream themselves. But somebody I knew was in Japan and said, I believe you do. And how can you know that in Japan? It was like, 2 BBC presenters in the
Having
same
a go,
few
yeah.
days are
Yeah.
having to
Part
go.
of me hoped that you actually knew the microphone was on. when
Well,
you said
people
it,
online, I learned a couple of things that day. Well, yes, people online saying, that was a setup. But what was funny for me, so I didn't realise, I carried on with the show, and in the first hour, all these people started visiting the booth. And it did, out of the corner of my eye, but nobody said anything to me. The producer didn't say anything. I just was thinking, it's bank
Somebody
holiday.
run in with a P45.
Well, occasionally they do little tours of the studio, or I wasn't paying attention. I was, as far as I was concerned, and thank goodness and thank God for them, they didn't say anything. Even at the break, even at the 3 o'clock, at the 4 o'clock
Yeah.
news, when I had another hour to go, not one person said a word, which was very professional of them, because otherwise I would have just died off. So and what that was a stream of the boss, then the boss's boss, then the boss's 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 boss. And I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if Johnson himself had come in at some point and all gone, get her out of here. But of course, I felt awful and I got a slight reprimand. What are they going to do? It was a mistake.
Yes.
Thankfully, it was a mistake. Thank God it was.
Just for the record, though, Dominic Cummings is a dickhead.
Well, I didn't even put the head on it, so it's an heads.
I'm happy to say that.
Yeah, no, but then I was
you risk taking you.
I was reading stuff online, and most people, or somebody I know said, "Oh, you should see all the stuff online." And I thought, I don't want to look at, I just wanted it all to go away. I was feeling really. I got home, sitting on the couch on my own, feeling a bit kind of. And this fella, Neil Matthews, said, "Oh, no, everybody's saying she just said what everybody was thinking." Yeah. So I made the mistake of opening, and I did have a Twitter account, but I didn't do anything on it. And I opened Twitter, and some people were saying, that was a setup. And then there were two really, really nasty, threatening messages. Right. One from a guy who had a kind of Ulster flag saying to someone else, "Is this the Nuala McKeever you were talking about?" Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, people here know where I live. Yeah, and then this other one said something very, very nasty about, it's no wonder Mike Maloney died. He probably threw himself off that roof to get away from that Fenian bleep, bleep, bleep.
Fuck.
And I read that, and I threw, without even thinking, I threw the phone across the room, just like, ah! And when people say to me, "Why aren't you online? Why aren't you doing stuff?" And I used to think, why? Paddy Raff's always putting clips up when he was coming to the fore, and people were saying, "Well, get on there." And I think that's at the root of it for me. I just couldn't bear. I like people to like me, and even if I know they're not really they might dislike me. I don't care if somebody doesn't like what I do, but that level, particularly as a woman, I think it just scares the life out of me. So I think, you have to be very tough skin to put yourself out there.
We've had some politicians in, particularly female politicians, you get an awful lot of it.
It's shocking.
It's shocking. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is to not look at it and to say that's all load of nonsense. But sometimes, it's a funny business to be in, looking for approval and having to take. You always used to quote the thing about treat both those imposters equally.
Yes.
Is that Kipling?
It is, yes.
If you can
triumph and disaster.
Yeah, well, similarly, fawners and horrible trolls, you need to treat them equally. So, but luckily, so far, as long as there's not a hit person out there when I go out. I mean, that's one of the things. If you're not making big waves, you're not likely to get. I don't think I would like to be very successful. That sounds a bit stupid. I'd love to be a successful writer or something, where you're not really in the limelight, but I don't know that I'd like to be better known.
Steve Kavanagh was saying, wasn't he?
You already are.
Yeah. You're the Stephen Kavanagh, the guy we had on a while back, who was saying it was great being a writer because there was done that kind of...
Yes, you've got a certain anonymity, and people can take opinions. Yeah. It takes a lot of intellect to read a whole book. Yeah. You don't get too many trolls trolling Mary. Well, you got Mary Bird was trolled because of her appearance, but if they've made their way through Will Fall, they're not going to be making some inarticulate grunt. I think that's all they can do. But just the level of psychosis that's running around out there, I'd be very happy just to be very successful, but not necessarily well known.
Right. Well, we wish you every success.
Thank you. Is this where we announce the reunion?
Do you want to announce the reunion? Well, funny enough, we may have a chat with you at some stage about the Hole in the Wall Gang 30th reunion. Yeah, 40th reunion. Well, anyway, we do genuinely wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Everybody knows
nice to see you.
We'll be back. You think
it'll be back next June? Yes,
on the
24th of July, I'm doing Truth, Love or Promise for one night only as the opening night of the East Belfast Arts Festival in Skinnos. So it's one performance only.
Plug away, yes.
Yeah, and then on the 27th of July for 3 weeks, I'm in Dublin doing the In the Window in Bewley's Lunchtime Theatre. So for all the people my age and older, that's a wee cheap trip down to Dublin.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah,
taking a show, have a lunch, come back.
People our age can get the free train to Newry, and then have to pay.
Then you get fork out. We're not that old.
You're halfway there, so go and see Nuala in Bewley's at the end of July. Very best of luck with it, Nuala. Thank you very much for being on the Give Me Head podcast. Thank you very, very much to our wonderful sponsors, Phoenix Energy. Go to phoenixenergyni.com, and we will see you next time on the Give My Head podcast. Thank you, Nuala McKeever.
Woohoo! Happy birthday.